Boston court is in turmoil. A code red alert has been issued, which means a major crisis has occurred. Leisha, and Caleb are summoned by the prince. It's loading. Leg. September 4th, 2019. I remember it well. I don't remember what I was doing in September 2019. We could check on the channel. Probably something fun. Vampires walk among us, and knowing we've built their cities, fought their wars, and sated their hunger. For centuries, these creatures have been organized into rival sects, the largest of which is the Camarilla. Gonna guess at Camarilla? No colorblind mode on this one. In its domains, Camarilla courts enforce the Masquerade, a global conspiracy hiding the existence of vampires from the mortal world. Breaking the Masquerade is punishable by final death. In Boston, vampire factions have long been at each other's throats. After much conflict, Hazel Iverson, the new prince, has sealed a fragile pact with a group of blood sorcerers, known as the Hartford Chantry. I sure hope you know what Vampire the Masquerade is, because this game clearly isn't going to explain it. I do. This alliance will not only provide stability to the domain, but will hand the prince the blood trade. The trafficking of blood and mortal victims that serve the needs of the vampire elite. Tonight, the undead will celebrate.
I'll just get this going. There, ready. We're all set.
Okay.
Now, to begin, tell me, what do you see?
I don't know.
Okay. Try this. Focus on your vision.
Some death.
No, it's happening.
What's happening?
No, it's too late. It's too late now.
Epilepsy. Epilepsy. No. Jesus.
They're coming.
Right. I don't know who they are, but I'm assuming something's going down in the coterie. Leisha.
Did you feel it too?
Take your stuff. We're getting out of here. We've got a problem.
Call them back.
What's going on?
I don't know yet.
It's the prince. We must go quickly.
I'm thinking we're being introduced to characters. Huh. Prince's Quarters, 11 p.m.
Come on. Damn it. Hurry up.
Calm down. Maybe it has nothing to do with the party.
You know full well I was in charge of it. If anything goes wrong, it's my head on the chopping block. Fuck. Damn it! It took Hazel months to convince the Hartford Chantry to ally themselves with us. So they finally accept, and then bam, a code red. There's never been a code red in Boston, damn it! This has gotta be bad, MM.
Dialogue skills. In dialogue, some answers require the use of your skills. Your skill level is compared with that of your opponent. The higher rating wins. You cannot use a skill if the rating is 0. Willpower 12. Using a skill consumes willpower. If your opponent wins, you will gain a few willpower at the end of the dialogue. Continue. Psychology 3. MM 2. Journey Atkins 1. Success 100%. Psychology, she has nothing to hide. Persuasion costs 3. We will fail that immediately. Okay. So I guess we just take the one that we will win. Do I press X to select? Success.
It's not like you had anything to do with it. I'm sure.
You don't get it. I was in charge of organizing the party.
But security is Jara's problem.
Yeah,
normally.
except Jara is a member of the Primogen. I'm not.
But you're a harpy. The prince will cover you. You know she's always looking for an excuse to take him down a notch.
We'll see.
What do we do next?
When everyone's safe, we move on to phase 2. We clean house.
Yeah, where did my hair come from? What's a code red? I guess that'll tell us.
Did you say this is the first code red in Boston?
Ever since the fall of London, protocol is no longer a laughing matter.
Whatever. They've been harping on that for 4 years now. They took away our internet access. Our smartphones.
It's called risk mitigation, that's all. A code red is an alarm signal that's sent to everyone to say, watch out, we're all in danger. And everyone runs to shelter at the nearest safe house. For us, it's with the prince. It could have been worse.
I'd have preferred worse.
You're not even listening to me.
We clean house?
What do you mean by we clean house?
Getting rid of our archives, our documents, anything that might betray our network and relationships.
Okay, change the subject.
What comes after phase 2?
Just pray that it never comes to that.
Come on, tell me.
We run, we leave everything behind, and we go into hiding, as far from here as we can.
There's no way I'm leaving Boston. Everything I have is right here in the city. It took me years to build my clubs. I've worked too hard to give it up now.
You won't have a choice. I know you hate coming here. Are you gonna be alright?
What do you think? I know how to behave, Jay.
Yeah, I know. Just keep your cool and it'll be fine.
Okay. I got +1.
Ah, my little darlings. You're here at last. The fear that something horrible had happened to you terrified.
No call for theatrics, April.
The prince asked to see you as soon as you arrived, Amim. I wouldn't dilly-dally if I were you.
I didn't skip
As for
anything.
You, Journey, someone's triggered a code red. If anything has happened over there, I'll hold you personally responsible.
Dialogue disciplines. Vampires, my eyes are glowing now, have supernatural abilities usually inherited from their clan. Disciplines. I did not skip that earlier dialogue. I was warned that this game was buggy and janky no matter which platform you play it on. It was gifted to me on PlayStation. Some disciplines can be used in dialogue. As with skills, the higher level wins. Not all disciplines are available to all vampires. Some mortals may possess certain powers, although most have no defense against disciplines. Hunger. Using a discipline generates hunger. Hunger has a value that cannot be exceeded. This limits a vampire's use of their powers. A vampire at their hunger limit risks losing control, attacking and feeding on the closest mortal. Okay, I can't possibly back journey up. So it's making me flatter April, which we are going to fail automatically. Really? And it's going to make me hungry to do this? I guess it's treating me a tutorial of the dialogue system. I just feel like the first thing you do is lose instantly. Yay. Flatter April then. Failure.
You know, back in the day, nobody could bat an eyelash without you knowing about it. You must know exactly what Jay is being blamed for, don't you?
My dear I adore you. Really, I do. But darling, please. You're way out of your league here.
You made me look like
Alliance with the
a
Hartford
dick.
Chantry is crucial.
Find out more.
Princess
Hartford
Annette,
Chantry.
We can't get through to anyone over there.
What does this have to do with Jay?
She was in charge of the whole thing, for goodness sake. Listen, both of you. From now on, I don't want to hear another word out of either of you. The prince is furious. Journey, you're coming with me.
Okay, I've got a bunch of
see
stuff
why.
that's...
And as for you, Hazel wants to see you
Okay.
right now.
Can I not check my menus? Because stuff was unlocking. You made me look like a dick by default. Right, show goals. Safe zone. Find out more. Lewis, Boston. Lewis, founder of the Black Rattlers, Clan, Toreador, Generation 12th, date of embrace 1929, sire Hilda McAndrews. Oh, no. Men of Bronze. Born in Harlem in 1901, grew up in a family of poor African-American performers. Her father, Mason, was a musician by night and window washer by day. Her mother, Clara, sang when she was not taking care of her 4 children. When he was drafted in 1917, father enlisted in the 15th Regiment of the New York National Guard, the Harlem Hellfighters, and participated in the liberation of France. He joined a jazz band in his unit that became a phenomenal success after the war ended. Pathé Studios had them record an album which would become the first jazz record to be played non-stop on French phonographs. Following this success, Mason decided to bring his family to Paris and to make a living playing his music in the jazz clubs that were beginning to sprout up through the capital. Paris. Was 17 years old and was a dancer. She spent time with the elite who would come to listen to her father, and it took little time for her to get noticed. She discovered the fuck me, I'm not going to pronounce that, and their international shows. She auditioned for it and passed with flying colours. From odd jobs backstage to subbing in for other performers, she proved herself, became a headline act at just 21 years old. Her burlesque stripping act took Paris by storm, making her extremely popular. I don't speak French. Began travelling through Europe, dancing to packed houses in the hottest cabarets. I love cabaret. Was a young, beautiful, and radiant. Her life was the night. As the champagne and money flowed, she was determined and alluring, the embodiment of a free and independent woman of the early 20th century. She had a fiery temperament that soon attracted the attention of Europe's divas. To Die in Your Arms, December 1923. Performed 8 times at the Vienna Carl Theatre. On the first night, she was introduced to Hilda McAndrews by the theatre director outside her dressing room. Was immediately captivated by this mysterious aristocrat who attended each of her performances. They spent the nights that followed in bars exchanging stories about their lives and their arts, their passions and their struggles. Hilda was cultured, charismatic and politically engaged in the suffragette movement and the women's artistic community. To her surprise, fell under her spell and gave in to this irresistible attraction. A passionate relationship formed right away between the two women who became inseparable. Then she bit you. Hilda confided in and told her about her vampiric nature over the course of the next 3 years. For their love to endure, but also seduced by the promise of eternal youth, asked to be sired right away. It would take yet another 3 years, however, before Hilda managed to get the local prince to agree to it. The prince feared that the young woman's notoriety could be a danger to the Masquerade. With the prince's blessing at last, Hilda threw a spectacular celebration in honour of her companion, whom she would embrace at the end of this memorable evening. The sound of boots. Having lived in Vienna since their meeting at the Carl Theatre, Hilda and MM left Austria in 1934 for Paris, then Bordeaux. Alas, France's surrender in 1940 forced the couple to reconsider their plans. With the help of their contacts in London, Hilda managed to negotiate a crossing to Boston, her hometown. Though hesitant at first, the city's Malkavian prince, Quentin King, finally granted them asylum. MM and Hilda were introduced to the court, where 50 years of intrigue would bring their passion to its inevitable end. Okay. No, I want to... Alright, that's how you do it. Caleb Bassery, protector of the Camarilla. Clan, Ventru. Date of embrace, 1745. Generation 10th. Sire, Jean-Baptiste Tavernier. Child, Beryl Underwood. The Imperial Throne. In 1710 in Constantinople. Fuck me. The King's Light gave birth to Sajad Suleiman, her firstborn son. Her name, whose birth name was Jeannette de Bassery, left France and joined the harem of Ahmed III, Sultan of the Ottoman Empire, the previous year, and quickly became his favourite. She was a doting mother who was constantly concerned about the child who was destined to inherit his father's throne. Suleiman, for his part, was given an excellent education and learned about country life with his younger brother Mustafa. The two brothers had very different personalities. While Suleiman was quiet, stubborn and adventurous, Mustafa was more versatile and fearful. The fall. In 1730, their father, Ahmed III, became unpopular, and the Janissaries revolted against him and forced him to abdicate in favour of his nephew. From that moment on, the seething Suleiman began plotting revenge in the long term to restore his father to the throne. Although he was aware of the problems that this would cause, he felt the only thing to do was to put the rightful ruler back on his throne. His mother, having heard of this, made him promise to give up his plan and disappear before the Janissaries could kill him. She convinced him to leave for the west by faking his death. Suleiman secretly set sail one night in 1732. Mirisad died a few weeks later out of grief over the loss of her son. It was said, however, the truth was quite different. Having caught wind of her betrayal, the Janissaries murdered her. New life. The boat that belonged to Jeannette de Bassery's family took Suleiman to the port of Antwerp, where, in homage to his mother, he called himself Caleb Bassery. He was adopted by a family of diamond merchants who traded between Europe and the New World, and whose newfound fortune grew rapidly. Under their guidance, Caleb sailed the oceans in search of new business ventures. He honed his knowledge of astronomy and mathematics, forged relationships around the globe, and used the opportunity to weave an impressive web of influence. His business dealings brought him into contact with aristocrats whose conventions he mastered, as well as with drunken sailors whom he learned to manage. Out of necessity, he became a leader. His natural authority and his ability to adapt won him respect. Little by little, his life on the deck of the ship became his only source of pleasure. He never set foot in his native land again. It was through sailors that he learned of his mother's death, following that of his father, and finally his brother, Mustafa III's ascension to the throne, a throne that could have been his, a family that could have been saved. No matter how far he sailed, these thoughts were always with him. The embrace. During a stop in Cadiz in 1740, he met Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, a renowned French explorer and merchant who had supposedly died in Moscow in 1689. In reality, he was a venturer seeking to expand his control of the diamond trade at all costs. The collaboration between the two men proved to be fruitful, even beyond Tavernier's expectations. Bassery's effectiveness and his discretion delighted him. In the space of a few years, their professional dealings were enriched by secrets, and the young sailor saw I didn't realise I was going to be reading this much text this early in a game. Saw in his mentor the father figure that he had never really had. As I knock everything over. One calm night, after a particularly turbulent Atlantic crossing, Caleb opened up to Tavernier a bit more and told him about his background. Tavernier understood what appealed to him about the young sailor, his nobility, which, although hidden, naturally emanated from him. A thought came to Tavernier, who had never sired anyone before. He began to treat Caleb like a true member of his family and spoke to him about the occult to gauge his reaction. Then came the thorny issue of revealing his true nature. Tavernier portrayed the embrace as a gift. It didn't take much to convince the young sailor of the vague value of agelessness. Caleb accepted. His embrace was painful and bitter. It took him several days to be able to tolerate the beast that would now gnaw at him for all eternity. Tavernier attempted to focus his child's anger on the revenge he would get against those who had deprived him of his throne, but Caleb did not see things that way. His thirst for justice was replaced by a disgust for humankind and a growing disinterest in their affairs. He now wished to rise above the kin, to use his eternity for previously impossible purposes. His sire, who saw a certain interest in it, let his child experiment. Caleb spent half a century roaming the 7 seas of the globe, getting rich by acquiring diamond mines and trading companies. He toyed with the laws of men, but scrupulously respected the principles that Tavernier had instilled in him. The mutually beneficial and balanced relationship continued until the early 19th century. A hunter's instincts. Under the pretext of wanting to share his love of nature and the great outdoors with Caleb, Jean-Baptiste invited him to go to the Mauricie region to meet an old acquaintance of his. Shit, I saw this name coming, and the explorer. You heard me slow down then when I saw that name scroll past. Toussaint Charbonneau. The gangrel chose to establish his den in the heart of the forest and live like an animal. Despite his sire's instructions, Caleb had difficulty finding Charbonneau. After a physical encounter, the trapper understood why Tavernier had sent him this venture, so he attempted to share his connection to the animal world with him, as he had done with his sire before him. While Caleb was not interested in his ability to communicate with animals, his talent at tracking prey seemed more worthy of a kindred. It even proved to be necessary in the midst of this forest for a palate as refined as his, which was not be satisfied with just any kind of blood. Okay. With practice, Caleb was able to track down his prey on his own. Charbonneau even trained him to differentiate the essence of a mortal from that of a kindred, or even from that of a lupine. Wolfie boy. The onset of the winter season forced the men to part ways, Charbonneau heading back to the Pacific, Basari returning to civilization with a new skill. Though he would never reveal this to his sire, he was thankful to him for having given him this opportunity. Settling down in Boston. In 1806, with the Napoleonic Wars tearing Europe apart, Caleb met James Underwood, who, through the Sugar Trust, controlled the refined sugar trade. With the United States under an embargo, Underwood's business was failing. Caleb mustered all his knowledge to I knocked stuff over again because I'm twitchy. To organise, I didn't realise I was be reading this much text this early in an LP. But we need to know who these people are. Mustered all his knowledge to organise a large-scale smuggling operation, amassing a small fortune in the process. Underwood and Basari formed a close relationship. Beryl Underwood was born in 1807 and inherited the business from his father, James, when he died in 1833. Caleb knew Beryl as he had watched him grow up. The 26-year-old heir asked the man he viewed as his mentor to stay with him and help him, and Caleb agreed for several reasons. His respect for this business-minded mortal, whom he deemed worthy of his interest, his honour that urged him not to abandon the relationship he had with James, and the profits he could make. He felt that his future lay in the New World and that it was better to settle there as soon as possible. It was with the agreement of his sire that he moved to Boston for good. Tavernier sensed that Caleb had made great progress, and it was clear that the student had surpassed the master. He felt a kind of pride in this. While keeping his distance, he remained in regular contact with his child, treating him as an equal. It was on Caleb's advice that he moved to South Africa to set up new diamond mines. I hate you, Caleb. God, everything you do is old money bullshit. I know you're old, but oh, God. The child. Beryl Underwood exceeded Caleb's expectations. He was more talented than his father, and the venture had something to do with it. But a vampire cannot become involved with a mortal over the long term without compromising their identity. Over the years, Beryl's doubts led him to question Caleb, who gave him a frank answer. He admitted his monstrous nature to him. This was far from repellent to Beryl, who became more determined and asked Caleb to give him the embrace. Caleb had never thought of siring a child himself, so he put off the decision and did not accept until 1869. Beryl's embrace was quick. He immediately felt empowered, his ambition knew no bounds, and he sought to enrich himself by any means necessary. The Sugar Trust became the centre of an international conglomerate that extended beyond the sugar trade. Beryl was involved in every plot, every betrayal. Caleb began to be suspicious of him, and he withdrew, which Beryl did not forgive him for. Executor. Over the course of the 20th century, seeing Beryl's unscrupulous behaviour corrupting the kin through the environmental and health impacts of his business, Caleb distanced himself from the business. He felt he had created a monster, a threat to all kindred. Quentin King, the Prince of Boston, offered him the position of executor of the prince, which he accepted as a means of escape. King made him one of his favourite tools, sending him to hunt down those who threatened the Boston Camarilla. Tool! Sorry, it's Predator Badlands. After centuries of building a business empire, chasing opportunities and eliminating competitors, Caleb derived satisfaction from the simple task of doing what he was told. He didn't count the kindred destroyed, the mortals killed, or the thin-blooded suppressed. He served his prince with his signature loyalty. When Beryl Underwood joined Quentin King's Primogen Council, Caleb grew weary. The Beckoning! In recent years, the elders have started to feel an increasingly insistent urge to travel. Trevernier was one of the first to give in. Not having been warned, Caleb considered this a betrayal. However, he also felt the same need. He was almost ready to give in to it, but King's disappearance changed everything. Underwood asked Caleb to become the new Prince of Boston. He hoped to be able to manipulate Caleb to serve his own interests, but Caleb knew his child all too well and refused this poisoned gift. So it was Hazel Iverson who became Prince of Boston. Quickly, she surprised everyone by proving to be much less manipulable than expected, which was a pleasant surprise to Caleb. He then decided to put himself at her service. Iverson was happy to have a renowned ally like him and accepted. One last wish. His interest in the Camarilla and his kind was renewed as this new prince seemed to hold her own and had great plans for the future. It was during this same period that Caleb heard about a young mortal who had just graduated from MIT and had gone to Silicon Valley to found a startup specializing in the blue economy. He inquired about her and finally met her. Finally, he won her trust and offered to make her his ghoul, with the aim of embracing her in the near future. He hoped to make her the counterpart of Beryl's self-destructive drive. However, Hazel Iverson did not subscribe to the same policy as Quentin King and would not grant the right to sire so easily. She even saw it as a way to maintain control over her precious Caleb, who was forced to wait. Consumed by the beckoning, he could no longer bring himself to leave without having repaired what he considered to be his greatest mistake. Leisha. The Prince's Seer. Oh, she's a Malkavian. Alright, she's crazy. 12th generation, date of embrace 1939. That which remains. Oh, she's got like a small text box. Thank you, Leisha. You're my favourite. Oh, also, I hope you guys know what's going on in Vampire the Masquerade, because I am not going to fucking explain this shit. I do not have time or the inclination to explain myself to a child like you. That which remains. Leisha's story is nothing more than a collection of fragments due to her memory impairment. She remembers that she is from France, near Lyon, and